On this episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast, we talk about Prosaic by Mizmor. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
We're two professional broadcasters. We like metal. We like to talk about it. And we're kind of doing a little bit of late wrap up for Black Metal January. I guess female February might run into March, and then non-metal March might run into April.
Sure. We don't know what April's doing right now.
Yeah. If we want to continue.
I can give her a call.
Sure. If we want to, not shortchange any of our themed months.
Right.
But in any case, the reason why we had a gap week last week is because you were turning 50 years old and went on a fun little trip.
Yeah. Well, because my birthday is February 2nd, also known as Groundhog Day.
So you went to see this big fat rodent.
I did. And he was fat and angry. I mean, it's kind of how I've gotten at this point, man. That's just the life, isn't it? It is. So it was great. We went and had a whole lot of fun. We partied. We went to this dueling pianos party that was exclusive to the Groundhog people. The inner circle was all there. The Groundhog people.
The Groundhog people.
And then it went until midnight. And then we went back to our hotel room in the next town. And the person I went there with, wonderful, one of my closest friends for many, many years, Bethany, and she's, whereas I'm hey, let's go to this place and then maybe we'll do a thing while we're there.
Yeah.
She's an itinerary monster. She's like, we're going to do this and this and this and this and this, and then you can do this, and I found out about this, and we're going to do this. And so it was awesome. That means I stuck a lot of vacation into that 4 days.
Yeah.
But I'm fucking exhausted. By then, it was great. So we got up at 3:30 in the morning. Mind you, done at midnight.
Yeah.
Woke up after having
3 hours of sleep.
3 hours. So I was going to say 6 cans of beer and then 3 hours of sleep. And then we went to go to the groundhog, and we had to stand close up.
Yeah.
Oh, and did you know this? And I didn't find this out until a couple of nights ago.
Okay.
One of my players at the Hopper. She said to me, "Hey, we were watching the 701 Club or Good Day Dakota, or whatever the hell it's called now."
You were on the TV?
I was on the TV. And
I didn't see that.
They wished me a happy birthday.
Whoa, I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
So our fellow broadcaster.
I'm busy when they're on the air.
Oh, I know. I was too. I was like Gobbler's Knob.
You weren't watching because you weren't in the state that the area code on the name of that television program refers to.
Right.
But
by the way, that's some gangster shit to say in Minneapolis.
701?
Yeah. Don't fuck with me. I'm 701.
They're going to be like, all right, shit. You're from North Dakota.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. Say it again, motherfucker.
I'm so scared. You're from North Dakota. Can you hear the terror in my voice?
That's right. I hail from the streets of Carrington, motherfucker.
Carrington?
Don't mess with me.
I'm trying to figure out who you're starting to sound like.
I have no idea.
But in any case.
It was a great time. We ate and drank and had fun. There's videos now of Beth and I eating pickles on the internet. I'll have to show you, or at least send you links to them.
Eating pickles
and claminaise.
Yeah, you told me about that. You told me about the pickles and the claminaise.
Right.
I'm still thinking about the groundhog people.
The groundhog people.
And I'm just imagining that's if Lovecraft was set in Pennsylvania.
Right.
Instead of in Maine or Massachusetts.
It would be sort of a chud thing.
Yeah.
It would be like
it would be cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers.
Groundhog people.
Except they're not that far underground. They're a few feet underground.
Oh yeah, they don't. Yeah, there's a reason that they're not svelte.
They're not down there they're not down there in the tunnels.
They're not near the Earth's core.
They're in a burrow.
Right. Yeah.
And who wouldn't want that to be their life? To just live in a hole in the ground and be fat. That's just a hobbit. Just a hobbit.
Yeah.
That would be great.
And here's the fun thing. They had the Elixir of Life ceremony, which we also attended.
The what?
The Elixir of Life ceremony that they give to Phil every year.
I didn't know they do that.
Because he's immortal.
Yeah, it's always the same groundhog.
Yeah, it's always and I feel like that they've done that because of the past.
because
the Groundhog Day ceremony up until, I don't know, 100 or so years ago.
Did it involve killing the groundhog?
And eating the groundhog.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Every year, it was Punxsutawney Phil. Chop its head off. Let's have a roast.
Let's kill the bastard. Was he always called Phil?
I don't know. I think.
Or did it used to be Punxsutawney Philip?
I think they didn't used to name it until
I would imagine
the one year they're like, hey, his name is Phil, and somebody's like, let's not kill it this year.
We gave him a name. We can't kill him.
Give him the Elixir of Life.
so that he will be immortal.
And he has a wife. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Phyllis.
Punxsutawney Phyllis.
Yeah, Punxsutawney Phyllis, and they have
Punxsutawney Phyllis sounds like a condition.
Yeah, or something out of the Urban Dictionary.
It's a very specific subset of syphilis.
Oh, I got the Punxsutawney Phyllis. We needed to wear special underwear for a while.
I didn't know he has. I didn't know that.
Who
Phil
they
has
don't
a wife.
give the Elixir of Life to.
She dies. She can die.
Yeah, he has to watch her die. And then they bring in a new female groundhog that he humps, and then she dies.
Maybe that's where the Elixir of Life comes from. Maybe it's the ground up remains of Phyllis.
Oh, God. That's twisted.
He has to consume the essence of his mates to continue living.
Wow.
And that's what the groundhog people also
do that.
They also do that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, again, it's Lovecraft. You just gotta.
I mean, there's a group, and this is no shit. They're called the Inner Circle.
Yeah, no,
and they wear like, top hats. And shit.
the robes or not the robes, but like the long
tux.
coats and the tuxedo and the top hat.
Tux and tails and top hats. And,
I've seen those those guys because they're in the the videos and the pictures and whatnot.
Right, and they're fun guy. I enjoyed hanging out with them. I talked to all of them because we got into the special events. And then, but it just okay. I don't. Okay,
go on. Go on.
I will say it. Several times I was in a room with so many wealthy white people that I was wondering how many of these people in this room have strangled someone just to find out what it feels like. Somebody in here murdered a hobo at some point.
Someone in here, Patrick Bateman did.
Yeah.
How many people in that room were on Epstein's flight logs? Yeah.
There's an entry that just says Inner Circle on it.
It's everyone.
It's all of them. They got a whole compartment on the plane.
They had their own.
By the way, just for the record, I'm making this up. They're all fine, wonderful people. Don't kill me.
Because they will do that.
No, they won't. No, they won't. They wouldn't do that.
The inner circle of Punxsutawney, known for their incredible power in the darker parts of America.
The Philuminati.
It's fantastic. Again, Lovecraft.
Yeah. Yes.
That's just where we're. That's just that's what it is. I mean, it's a charming.
Yeah.
It's a charming small town. It's not a small, I guess.
Yeah, it's a small town.
Smallish town.
I don't think there's more than 7,000 people.
It's a charming small town in rural northeastern America. Mm-hmm. There is a quasi-religious ceremony surrounding an animal creature, like
in the woods.
This is like, I mean, it's Pennsylvania woods version of Lovecraft, where Whereas with Lovecraft, it's always, the ocean. This is the dark woods of Pennsylvania. Where in Pennsylvania is Punxsutawney, by the way?
It's a tiny town in western Pennsylvania. It's
okay, so it's in the western part of the state.
Western part of the state. Yeah, okay. There's mountains and woods just surrounding it. And Is
that what the Catskills over there, or what that is?
I'm not exactly sure.
Or is that upstate New York? Or it's probably all the kind of the same area.
Yeah, I think the Catskills are a bit east of there.
Okay. But
yeah, it's in Western Pennsylvania, and it was good. It was actually a good time. Good time.
It sounds like a very fun time. a very busy time.
And and this was also weird, is to be in one small area where there are so many people that have your same birthday.
Yeah, I suppose.
I went to and they had this special birthday room, and it was on the brochure and everything. You can go to the town hall or whatever, and go in. There's this room off the main area where it says your birthday. If you're celebrating a birthday, you can come in there, and you go in there, and it's like tiny furniture and cupcakes. You get free crayons. It's like
this is for the children.
This is for the children, and everybody in here is 50. I mean,
everyone here had the same idea as me.
Yeah. So I'm wearing my 1974 hat, and I'm 50 today. And we all have a big hug and a photograph together.
That's fantastic.
And then there's some sort of prancing pony on the wall in the background.
It was because they were watching The Lord of the Rings.
Exactly.
Watching Fellowship of the
Ring. We were in the prancing pony.
Yeah. You went to the prancing pony. You had to hide from the Nazgul.
Exactly. But there was a
Strider was there to save you.
Was there.
You came looking for Gandalf, but he wasn't there.
Exactly.
Mr. Butterbeer? I don't know. Butterbeer's a Harry Potter thing.
Yeah, it is.
What you order. The barman at the Prancing Pony has butter in his name somewhere. Mm-hmm. I remember that. It's Butters from South Park.
I'm sorry there, Mr. Hobbit. I haven't seen Gandalf in 3 months. No hamburgers.
Butterbur. His last name is Butterbur. I don't remember his first name. I think it starts with a B as well.
I want to go to Culver's
and get yourself a Butterburger.
Right.
I always forget. I think it's particularly evident in Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah.
How progressively darker and darker the books get.
Right.
It's only Fellowship of the Ring, where there is this slide and descent in tone as the book continues, where like everything's like very magical and fairy tale-esque at the beginning with the hobbits leaving the Shire.
Sure.
And then slowly things get more dark and grim and more the world starts to feel more real in its danger and intensity. And at the beginning, you have a character like Tom Bombadil,
right,
and his pony Fatty Blumpkin. I'm not kidding. That's the name of Tom Bombadil's pony.
It's also my drag name.
But then by the end of the book, you've got Boromir fucking dying, riddled with arrows, and it's so
Tolkien was really actually just mirroring real life.
Yeah, I suppose.
As I'm discovering now that I've made it a half a century. In the beginning, it's all fun and fireworks. And then you're riddled with arrows.
I mean, the man despised allegory, and like there's a difference between influence and something that it has influenced your life.
Sure,
because allegory is usually intentional,
of course.
And he despised that.
I think it has to be intentional for it to be actual allegory.
Yeah, but like I feel like Fellowship of the Ring in particular, and that descent in tone kind of feels a bit reminiscent of the experience of a young man in the First World War. Because when the war started, everyone was like, oh, hey, we're going to go to war, and it's going to be like, it's going to be glorious. It's going to be a big adventure. It's going to be, this is going to be a big thing, and it's going to be a good time.
And by the end of it, fucking nightmare.
And it turned into hell on earth.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of there's so much of that I feel like in the Lord of the Rings of like that feeling of things being magical and serene at the beginning, especially like, as him who's someone who is very in love with pastoral sort of Middle England.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah, that's what the Shire is this, quaint little village in England where everything's perfect and everybody just has a great time, and then going into essentially hell. Mordor is basically just is hell. Yeah. Like with all the fire and dust and ash.
Dush and ash.
Ash.
Dust and ash.
Dush
and ash.
Good old Sauron, absolutely caked up.
Yeah. In dush.
And
ass.
And ass. Well, that's what I mean by him being caked up.
Oh yeah.
Everyone knows that Sauron had a massive booty.
Right. So the whole goal was
that's how he corrupted the Numenorians. He was like, look at this thing.
Squeeze. And so that was the whole idea, was for Frodo to take that junk
and put it in the trunk.
Exactly.
And by the trunk, we mean, of course, Mount Doom, colloquially called the trunk. Because my birthday's coming up, so
it is. Oh, I know.
I was like, did you give me my Blu-rays back? And they're right here.
They're right there. Yeah.
They're right there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll be my birthday tradition.
Right. Did you watch those on your birthday?
Yeah, usually.
Okay, that's kind of funny because I watch those at Christmas, and you usually get me a Christmas present.
Yeah.
And you watch those on your birthday, and I usually get you a birthday present.
Exactly. It's just a convenient, because I usually take time off for my birthday, so it's just a convenient time to watch them because they're very long.
Oh, I know, you got to have a couple of days.
You gotta give yourself some time. So
yeah, I never take my birthday off. Well, okay, this year I did.
This year you did.
This year I did, but I'm like my 21st birthday. I worked until 7 a.m.
Yeah,
I don't care. It's my birthday.
Yeah,
I celebrate most days.
Sure.
Because I am the party.
I take some time off on my birthday because it's just it's an excuse for me to take time off, which is a thing that I need to do more.
You do.
I
need to do you,
because I feel like I need to have an excuse to take time off, which I don't. I can just take time off with the days that I have.
Yes.
I don't need to have an excuse. But for me personally, my birthday provides my weird brain an adequate excuse.
Right. And for the last couple of years, you and I both have come up to the December going, oh shit.
Yeah.
I like a week I need to take off. And then you seem to somehow beat me to it. I go up to Kelly and I say, hey, what's going on the week between Christmas and New Year's? And she'll be like, we're going to have extra work. Kale won't be here. I'm like, fuck.
That's because That's because I get in there real early.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I know I'm gonna have a bunch of time left, so I'm just like, hey, it's November.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Let me submit this time off
because it's kind of dumb anyway. Nothing happens.
Yeah.
Between Christmas and New Year's.
There's fuck all to do.
Exactly.
So it generally doesn't matter all that much. But anyway, let's see. Did I do anything?
Did you do anything?
Did I do anything? I mean, I've kept playing Rogue Trader, and that's been fun. Although it's continued to be buggy.
Oh, is it still buggy?
Yeah, it's still buggy. They don't have the size or the manpower to do things the way that Larian does them. The people who make Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
Because like CRPGs are extremely complex games to code. Like they look like they should be simpler because it's not as like they're usually not as graphically intensive as certain other kinds of games. But the sheer amount of interactions with stuff that can happen and dialogue and all that, it can be really, and the different combat systems and stacking, even though it's turn-based, it can get really complicated. And Larian Studios they have got, I think they have a studio in, I believe they're Belgian. or maybe Swedish. I can't remember. They're from Europe somewhere. Okay. So they have their home studio in Europe. Then I think they have a studio in the United States.
Yeah.
And they also have a studio in Singapore, I think. And so what that means is that they can essentially work around the clock on things like bug fixes. And, you know, if someone starts working on a bug fix in Europe, they can then hand it over to the people in the United States
and go to bed.
They can finish the work. They can, you know, they end their work day, they go to bed. People in the US start working on it, and then it gets, you know, it can get sent to Singapore as well. And like they can push out updates and bug fixes really, really quickly that way and efficiently. And A.L.N does not have that type of infrastructure. But so that like I remember like it's slowed down now with Baldur's Gate 3 for, you know, after it having been out for so long at this point.
Yeah.
But like for a very long time there, they were pushing out like at least 1 or 2 updates a week.
Right.
For things like bug fixes or like adding in either adding in content that had gotten cut that they now had like the budget to fix and add back in because the game went absolutely gazongas.
Yeah.
Like
it went gazongas.
It went gazongas. Big old titties.
It went tits up.
Big old titties.
It went bazooms.
It went bazoingers.
Bazoingers. That just sounds like a nickname for boobs coined by a man who's never seen one.
She had them big bazoingers, you see. But yeah, like it went gangbusters, and so like there was stuff that they were able to. It's like when a Kickstarter does insanely well, and you're like, oh well, I guess we can actually do all these stretch goals,
right?
And so it's like that sort of thing. But A.L.N, their updates and bug fixes are fewer and further between,
right?
And generally a bit less substantial.
They don't have the manpower.
But we'll I don't know how much longer the game is going to be. There's 5 acts, and I think towards the middle of Act 4, maybe.
Gotcha. This is a long damn game.
It's not that long. I mean, it has 5 acts, but the acts themselves are relatively short.
Gotcha.
Like you could do it pretty quickly if you just focused on story stuff. Honestly, the most time intensive thing in the game is fucking leveling up.
Right.
Because there are so many abilities, and you got to read through all of them and figure out what the fuck they do, and there's so goddamn many of them. And every time you, and also when the whole party levels up at the same time, so it's you going, fuck, I gotta read through all the abilities for every single one of these fucking characters. It's gonna take me like 45 goddamn minutes. Like this is the only game I think I've ever played where leveling up is a chore. And it's like where like you reach a level up, and instead of being like, yay, I get new abilities and I can be more powerful, it's like, fuck, it's gonna take so long.
I'm gonna start over.
And for a number of the characters, I've just been using build guides because it didn't feel, at least at the beginning, it didn't feel intuitive to me to like figure out how to make them good, like how to make the characters feel powerful. You get to a certain point of the game pretty early on where it kind of gets to a point where it really no longer matters what abilities that you give your characters, because the difficulty scale in the game is really weird.
Okay.
Where like I'm now playing on the second highest difficulty, and combat encounters still feel, for the most part, pretty trivial. Like you get to a certain point and it's like everything just melts. You know, it turns into a meat grinder for your enemies. Part of that is using, like, I've ended up with a couple of pretty powerful builds, like the navigator you can get into your party is basically a death machine. Like she can do, but she has some pretty great support abilities because she's an officer, which is like her base archetype. But then her unique navigator abilities let her basically blast a massive cone of the battlefield with her stanky eye. And if they fail like a willpower save, they are stunned for a turn, so they can't do anything. She has another ability that this massive area, if they fail like a willpower save, they have to move to a specific point, which is great because then you can set it up for, a character with a heavy machine gun to do like an area attack and just mow all of them down. Like there's a couple of really powerful combos that it's not hard to like sort of stumble your way into doing, but like you would think even with a very powerful build, the highest difficulty in the game would be more difficult. It generally isn't, except when it is. And suddenly a character, an enemy shows up and they just one shot one of your characters, right? Who had full health. And it's like, what just happened? And it's there are so many times playing that game where like my character will get 4 extra turns in a row and I have no idea why. I don't know why I got all those extra turns.
Have you looked it up?
It's abilities I've taken, but I don't remember which ones. I think I've started to get a little handle, like a bit of a handle on it. There's a number of officer abilities where, if a person you gave a boost to kills an enemy while the effects of the boost are going, it gives you an extra turn and just stuff like that. But it's there's a lot of systems in that game where things just kind of happen and I'm like, yes, good.
That's great.
I know why that, like, there's instead of currency, instead of like having an amount of money,
right?
Your wealth in the game is measured in what's called profit factor, because you're playing a rogue trader, and in the world of Warhammer 40K, you are one of the most obscenely wealthy people in the galaxy.
Sure.
So instead of just having money, you have profit factor. And the way that is generated, I don't entirely understand. I know that when I do certain colony projects, doing a particular project will make you profit factor, and doing certain contracts will do the same thing. And sometimes a contract or a project will cost profit factor. And there are dialogue choices you can make that might give you some as well. But there have been times where projects have completed and I have gained or lost way more profit factor than I thought I was going to.
Right.
And it sort of created this weird unintentional synergy between gameplay and story of like, it kind of makes sense that a person who is as rich as a rogue trader would not really have any understanding of exactly how their wealth is generated, and only takes notice of it when the numbers go up or down by larger amounts than they were expecting.
I like that you said road trigger.
Did I say that?
Yeah.
I'm doing
spoonerisms just all over the place.
Spoonerisms or verbal dyslexia.
Listexia.
Is that what it's called?
What? No, I was making it.
I think there is a term for it though.
I know there is. I don't remember what it is. But road trigger. I'm imagining you just out on the street with your wood pellet grill.
Yeah, I'm out there. Well, they got wheels, so it's a street dance. So it's out there on the you know how street dances are held on roads,
right?
Because
it's a road dance.
There is a difference between streets and roads,
and that is
well, a road is most specifically meant to be in a city design term.
Right.
A road is primarily meant for transportation at a higher rate of speed.
Right. Connecting two different areas.
Yeah. Connecting two areas. A street is more so it's how you get from a place in an area to a road, essentially.
Sure.
In the United States, we have an annoying thing that a video I was watching, they called them stroads, which is something that you'll see in many places in America, which is a thoroughfare that does a good job as neither a street or a road, because it is not efficient to travel down.
Right.
And it's also extremely annoying to get onto and off of. There are businesses on either side, but it's really annoying and difficult to actually get over. There's multiple frontage roads. Like, if you live in the Midwest, you know what I'm talking about.
You know, and it's weird because I definitely know what you're talking about.
Like, a street isn't,
Right.
Streets are in downtown. Like,
right, downtown or neighborhoods.
Yeah, neighborhoods are in downtown. Those are streets.
Mm-hmm.
A
road.
And a road, is out in the country or like interstates in cities or major highways that have walls on either side.
Right. Right, or the back street between Minot and Burlington's Country Club Road. It's a road. It takes you from here to there.
But like Broadway in Minot, that's a stroad.
That's a stroad, right? That's lots of businesses, and it's a highway.
Yeah, it's
literally a Highway 83.
It's a fucking highway. But it's a kind of a pain in the ass to get onto and off of.
Right, and unless you know how to navigate, like if you were just like coming to North Dakota and you've never been here and you're trying to get through like to Canada or something, or to Antler. Or like you do.
Yeah, like you do.
You didn't know how to navigate the bypass. You wouldn't know how to do it.
Yeah.
Because there is you can bypass the city, but you have to go down this way. You have to turn over here, and then you have to turn again over here and come out in the north part of the stroad.
You kind of have to go a pretty far out of your way,
right?
So
you might as well just go through town.
Yeah.
I wonder if they didn't design it that way. You can have a bypass.
I mean, wasn't it mostly designed for trucks?
Yeah,
because it was the bypass was primarily built during the height of the oil boom, wasn't it?
Well, at oil boom.
Yeah, oil boom.
Yeah, I mean, a long time ago, like in the late 70s.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize it was that old.
Yeah.
I thought it was
been there for quite a while.
For some reason, I thought it was newer.
It was here when I got here, and I got here in 83, so.
Maybe I'm thinking of a different bypass somewhere. Maybe that was in Williston. There's some big bypass that got built, maybe.
Maybe it's probably what I'm due for soon.
a big bypass.
A big bypass.
Williston, or maybe I'm thinking of Watford City. I don't know. But that place Watford City is crazy, by the way.
Yeah, it is. Oh, yeah.
Like compared to like when I was like 13 and we went hunting out there, it was probably the first time I can remember going to Watford City. And it's a small town. Like
sure.
They were already renovating a little bit. Like I think they had just, like built a new bank or something like that. It looked nice. But then you go to Watford City now and it's like, Jesus Christ.
It's a major metropolitan area.
Yeah. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What happened to this place?
Oil is what happened to that place. But yeah.
So
Mizmor.
We've been talking about all these mundane, prosaic things.
Oh, speaking of prosaic,
Mizmor. Prosaic, by the way, the definition, the strict definition of prosaic is speaking normally.
Right.
Prosaic referring to prose, which is writing the way that people talk rather than writing in verse or writing writing poetically.
Poetry. Right. That's the two main things, poetry and prose.
But if you were describing something as prosaic, generally it's describing something as mundane or a bit boring, perhaps.
Sure. But just like normal.
Normal.
Just something talking normal.
Talking normally.
You're not using iambic pentameter.
Yes. And so this is the latest album from Mizmor, which is a sort of fusion black metal and doom metal project. That's kind of been the style throughout the existence of this project, which if I remember correctly dates back to about 2009, something like 2009, 2010, the original sort of bedroom recordings. A guy who goes by his initials A.L.N. is the sort of the force behind the project.
Well, it's a
one-man band. Isn't it Andrew something?
Now I have to look it up again. I knew it.
But at any rate, he goes by A.L.N.
Right.
And This is I believe only the fourth album for the amount of time that the project has been going. Alongside a number of EPs and a few collaborative, full length albums. There was one I think it was, I can't remember if it was 2021 or 22 that he did an album with a band called Thou, which I think is a sort of a doom metal band. But this is only the fourth just straight up Mizmor full length album. After A.L.N, which came out in 2019 that we talked about a few years ago. This is the fourth album, and it's good stuff.
Damn, this is good.
Yeah.
And here's the funny thing is, because it's only 4 songs long.
Yeah,
but it's still 6 hours. But
actually, I mean, this is actually like it's 4 songs, but it's only 45 minutes.
Right. It's reasonable.
It's like, each song is pretty long, but in general, it's not, not a daunting listen.
But, and no, not at all, but not by any means. I mean, most albums are about this long.
Yeah.
And in each song, it's almost seems sort of arbitrary because they're all in such different parts.
For sure.
I mean, they change so drastically within each song. So it's really, what's what. And it was hard for me to determine what song I like the best. Because you hear, I love the first song. And then the next song's like, oh, this is a little bit different.
Yeah.
And then I love this. And then it kept going through each track. So it was difficult for me.
I kind of agree with you there where it was hard to like pick out a particular favorite and be like, this one is my favorite and this one sticks out to me more than the other ones. Like I it couldn't really tell you necessarily what like my favorite. I think, I probably could tell you what my favorite moment on the album was. And I guess it's a little bit of a spoiler of what my favorite song was.
Okay.
But in the song No Place to Arrive, that acoustic bit in the middle.
So beautiful. Oh, my hair just stood up.
Yeah.
And
it's beautiful. It feels maybe it's the tuning in particular, but it felt very Opeth to me.
It felt very Opeth, and I don't know if it's so much the tuning as his patience with it.
I think so.
Mean, a lot of bands will try to move it along.
Yeah,
but he was very at the same, because Michael does that an awful lot too.
Yeah,
he is very methodical and very patient with his playing,
almost like kind of pensive.
Yeah, right. It gives it that feeling. Yeah.
There's a weight to it.
Right,
and it's like that. That moment for sure stuck out to me of like, and I think the somber tone of it too.
Yeah,
it's somber, but also like I would call it bittersweet almost. It's like one of the few moments on the album that manages to feel vaguely hopeful about anything, which is, I mean, it's Mizmor. You're not going to get a lot of hope on these records. I remember A.L.N being a slightly...
Although I have to notice there are certain places where it's almost like in a major key.
Yeah.
Where it's doing a lot of the black metal, just tremolo picking heavily, and it's doing that, but it's like almost, the next step up and the next step up.
Yeah.
God, that's like C major. I think if you put those together,
it's almost getting there. It's on the verge of breaking into something that feels more positive and more. And it's if we were listening to like a Falls of Rauros or something like that, it would erupt into something that is, more like positive and hopeful feeling. But that's not the vibe with this project, generally speaking. Maybe one day he'll release something. Maybe one day he will feel like he is in a mentally healthy enough place to maybe he'll make music like that. I don't know.
I've noticed that's one thing about American sort of black. He's American, right?
Yeah, he's American. He's from Portland.
Right.
Where else would he be from?
With American black metal, there always seems to be it's a dude. And
it's one guy.
Yeah, it's one guy, and there's something like a sort of a deeper feel to it, a deeper meaning.
Yeah,
like behind the music itself and the lyrics when you pull them up. And whereas
European
I think I
black metal,
European black metal, it's Satan. Yeah.
We like Satan, and we want to talk about him. It's or maybe it's just the American black metal bands that we listen to.
Maybe
because that it's usually honestly, most of the American black metal bands are bands that I bring. So I guess it's just kind of my taste.
Right.
Of this style of project. And it's usually guys who are working through some stuff and are doing, you know, some art therapy in the form of really awesome atmospheric music.
Yeah.
And instead of murdering their bandmates and burning down churches.
Right.
They didn't realize that was an option.
No.
Well, you can't murder your bandmates if you don't have any bandmates, which I guess Burzum was just Varg, but he was also in Mayhem.
Right.
So.
Where he did commit some murder.
Yeah.
And he burned some churches.
Although he wasn't in Mayhem anymore when the murder happened, if I remember correctly.
Wasn't he?
I think he was officially out of the band. Because if I remember correctly, Euronymous had showed up. I think he was there was some, I don't remember.
He didn't come to the band after Dead died, right?
He did.
He did. Yeah.
Yeah. It was after Dead died. And then I feel like this is one of those things that I feel like metalheads, you know, who know anything about black metal should know this story by heart.
Right.
But honestly, it's like, who cares? The dude's an asshole. He's a racist and a murderer.
Yeah.
Why should we bother getting the detail? Yeah, and an arsonist. Yeah. Why should we get the details right? I mean, I guess to know precisely how much of a shitbag he is.
Right. And plus, you know, people who are really into it and like into anything, you get, as we discussed earlier, pretty pedantic. You know, for sure. You want to get all the facts straight.
Yeah. About how at any point in history about any particular subject, nerds have always been very pedantic. It doesn't matter. I'm sure there is somewhere on Cuneiform a tablet of someone being like, I listened to this wise man speaking at the ziggurat, and he said some shit that first of all, his take was wrong. Here's why this was wrong. I do know that there is a cuneiform tablet that is explicitly merchant complaining about subpar quality bronze or copper, I think. There's like a smelter or something that he ordered some metal from, and it was poor quality. And he wrote out, you know, he pressed this cuneiform tablet that was a complaint about the quality of the material goods that he received. And it's in a museum. You can find it. It's like 4,500 years old, I think.
It was Yelp.
It might be older than that. I can't remember, but yeah.
Liam Neighbors, by the way.
Who's Liam Neighbors?
A.L.N.
Okay. Yeah, I think I saw a reference to that being his name. I wonder what A stands for.
A. I don't know.
We're just doing that today.
Yeah,
we're just the Fonz.
The Fonz thing.
Does this album slap?
Yeah,
I would say this album slaps.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing because the fusion of black metal and doom metal. There are definitely times where things are more black metal and times where things are more doom metal.
Right. But he still manages to blend them over.
Oh, they blend very. And I think black metal and doom metal they're two genres that don't clash with each other too much.
Right.
Like tempo is kind of the only real way that they clash with each other. There's a lot of other things about the two that tend to match up very well. Atmosphere, like they both focus very heavily on atmosphere and tone of being dark and
mood
and moody. Yep. At least if we're not talking about like stoner doom or something like that, but like you know, regular doom metal is right. That's why it's called doom metal.
I'm trying to imagine what stoner doom black metal would sound like.
I'd listen to it.
Well, yeah, definitely. If you're out there, make some.
Make some stoner doom black metal.
This is a fusion genre we haven't heard.
But yeah, I think they're two great flavors that taste great together.
They are.
In general, and it's not that hard of a thing to speed up and slow down.
No, it's not,
and change tempos.
It's dynamic.
Yeah. Hey, there's our favorite word.
Right. So like, yeah, K-pop black metal. That would be. I'm not seeing that.
Yeah, I feel like that would be hard. I'm sure it. Yeah, you're about to search for it, and you're probably going to find something. Like, I think those kinds of fusions, though, what it usually ends up being is someone doing K-pop, but it has guitars and the singer is wearing corpse paint. But in all other, in all songwriting regards, it's a K-pop song. Like I feel like that's the way that those fusions usually go. They're not being fused on a songwriting level. It's more of an aesthetic thing. I feel like is the way that usually happens. I'll be happy to be proven wrong. Because I think that would be interesting and wild for someone to try to do. Yeah. But I feel like they're a bit more. It's more about the aesthetics than about like the songwriting. But I wasn't able to find a ton of reviews that actually attached any sort of quantitative data to the review. I think people in general were quite positive about this album and fond of it. I was able to find 4 reviews that had numbers attached to them, and it came out to 77.5, which is not bad.
No. In fact, I always trust a 77.5 more than I do a 90.
For sure. Well, because, I mean, it really depends on the amount of reviews. Like, if you're seeing a Metacritic score that says 90, chances are that's pretty fucking good because there were enough people that gave this high enough reviews that Metacritic could aggregate all those reviews together. But if it's, 4 random ass reviews from out there on the internet and it comes out to 90.
Mizmor is rated 100% by someone named Brenda Neighbors.
Yeah. But
my boy is so talented.
He's so talented.
But yeah, so it came out to 77.5, which I think is I think it's perfectly fine. What's your favorite song?
I think we're going to agree on this one.
No Place to Arrive. Right? Yeah, I think
the second track.
It's good stuff. I mean, it's all good.
All of this is good. Yeah.
I feel like this has happened with like almost every album we've talked about for Black Metal January and a couple of other things where I always at the beginning of these albums, like with that with the Panopticon album we listened to, where like the first minute of listening, I'm going like, what's with that guitar tone? Where like because I listen to so much like maybe not high fidelity music, but music that is more heavily processed.
Right.
I guess.
More heavily processed.
More
produced.
heavily processed music.
Oh.
It's bad for you. I don't know why that's the voice.
I like raw music.
I prefer raw homemade music made from scratch.
I make my own.
I make my own music from scratch.
Yeah.
But anyway.
It's whole grain.
But anyway, like I'm always it's something about the guitar tone. It always takes me a little bit to get into. And then once I get into it, it's like a switch gets flipped and I'm like, yes, no,
I get
this. I like this. This is doing its own thing.
Right. Because we've heard some pretty good produced black metal. Yeah. But if it goes past a certain point with like
it loses
the guitar,
some of the genre.
Yeah, it loses. Yeah. Now we're listening to just, it's Kenny Loggins now.
Famously, if you have really really well produced, expensive production black metal, it's just Kenny Loggins.
Yeah, it's Footloose.
Everyone knows that.
Yeah,
it turns into Footloose.
Yeah,
not even Danger Zone.
Not even Danger Zone. It's Footloose. Now I gotta cut loose. Yeah.
Or it turns into the Beach Boys with all that tremolo picking. I mean that was, I think it was talking about that, where if you put distortion on a Beach Boys song and just transpose it into a minor key, you basically have a black metal song.
Actually, it's not so much Beach Boys as it is surf rock.
Just surf rock in general.
Like, yeah.
But I mean, Beach Boys being a part of that,
sort of, but they weren't really guitar oriented as much as like oh my god, what's his name? Oh my god, I forgot his name.
I don't know.
He's famous. He basically invented thrash metal.
I can't help you.
surf rock guitar. Let's move on.
Can't help you.
Dick Dale.
Okay.
Thank
you. You're welcome.
I didn't have to look.
Like how I said, you're welcome. As if because you said thank you, so that's just my response. What medal do you bestow upon this album, like Maz Kanata to Chewbacca?
It's a gold.
I wrote down silver.
Did you?
I wrote down. I was going to say high silver, but I feel like talking to you, talking about what I like about it. And the things that I enjoyed about it, the moments in it, I think it got elevated
to gold.
I think having another person to talk to about it made me appreciate it more.
Yeah, because talking about it, it's like I'm gonna listen to this shit on my own.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know what? He's right. Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah.
I think it's a gold for me as well. This is good stuff.
Yeah,
good stuff. So that was Mizmor. It is, as we speak, February, a month that we usually set aside to talk about the ladies of metal. And so, what are you gonna bring this coming week?
I'm gonna bring an album from last year. It's called The Other One.
The Other One,
by a Japanese-based heavy metal group.
Baby metal. All right, cool.
I was in between an argument regarding baby metal here a few days ago, and I actually had to leave the room at one point.
It got too intense, and you had to get out of there.
Yeah, it was a husband and wife, and he's like, they're artists. They're all old enough. They're not, and she's like, that doesn't mean you're not a fucking pervert. And I'm like, is there a drink in here? Do you have another Diet Right? Can I get it?
But
anybody want anything from the backyard?
From the backyard. Yeah. I'm gonna go into the backyard.
Yeah, and look for some
February and
yeah.
Does she live in Pennsylvania or does she live in New Jersey?
She lives in Allentown.
Where's
Pennsylvania?
That? Pennsylvania. Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
I don't. Yeah.
Just Newark was the closest big airport.
Okay.
It was an hour away from her home in Allentown.
I mean, it's all so close together.
Well, yeah, it's because they're tiny states. Because when those state lines were drawn, you had a horse.
Exactly.
And that's as far as you could go, is wherever the horse would go before it died. I guess that's now we're in
over
Illinois.
there. That's a different state.
Yeah,
because the horse is dead.
It's Vermont over here. Because
that's why the Mongol Empire was so big, is because they took care of their horses.
Exactly.
Because the horses didn't die.
You're actually not wrong.
I mean, that's how they passed messages from one side of the empire to the other. Is they'd have a bunch of little posts, and they would have a guy waiting with a rested horse. And they were, I can't remember how many miles apart they were,
like thousands of miles. Well, I mean,
the individual posts, but it was a relay where you would have one guy on one horse, take the message, gallop at top speed to the next post, but it would only be 20 miles or something like that. Drop off the message, and then the other guy would get on his horse and ride as fast as possible. And just nonstop, the message keeps moving.
It's funny that they called them barbarians, and it was like, other people say that about them like it's some sort of insult, like they're animals.
Ludicrously well organized.
You
don't conquer almost all of the largest continent in the world by being a disorganized horde. Like their logistics were insane, for the time period, especially. Like the Mongols were incredibly
they were organized,
efficient and organized.
When there was an uprising in Persia, they managed to be organized enough to poison all the water.
All the water.
Just about. I mean, they had a system of poisoning wells.
Like they had a system. Like God. It's like Mongol history is fascinating, and I feel like I need to do a little bit more of a deep dive on that, because it's very like Central Asia in general, to me, is such a fascinating place, because does not occupy a high place in like historical consciousness, I feel like worldwide, but there's a lot of really interesting, really important stuff that has happened there throughout history.
Yeah, over hundreds of over 1,000 years.
Like I find far western China and into the various Stan countries.
Yeah,
I find that whole area very fascinating.
Big Eminem fans.
Yeah, and like all the Turkic ethnic groups in that area, I find very very interesting to read about.
Yeah.
But
and I do feel, by the way, it's kind of sad that when you think of Mongolia now, you're like, stir fry. I mean, that's it. That's. I mean, it's great, but
it's good. It's good stir fry.
You should know more.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, that was our little bit about. You know how they say that men think about the Roman Empire like every day.
Yeah.
Which for me, I feel like is true, but also I feel like people should think more about the Mongolian Empire.
Yeah, more interesting.
Sure, it's closer in history.
I mean, there's a reason that if you and I are related at all, it's because we are descendants of Genghis Khan.
It might be. I think my ancestors are from a little too far west in Europe for that to have.
Okay, we're both sort of.
Yeah,
we have German heritage. So
yeah. They didn't quite get that far. They weren't that far off, but they didn't get quite that far.
They made it to Hungary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in any case, next week we're talking about what was the album?
The other one.
I know it was the other one by Baby Metal.
From last year, right?
Thank you for listening to the Bronze Metalist podcast. Go ahead and follow us on Facebook or on the website formerly known as Twitter. If you are so inclined, and you can get episode updates that way, or just subscribe to our feed on whatever it is you're using to listen to us right now. Until you hear from us again, thanks very much for listening to another episode of the Bronze Medalist podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
Congratulations.
And we apologize.
And we're sorry.